It's a Friday, just past noon. You're in a hotel room when a message lands on your phone. The board wants to talk. A calendar invite. A video link. You click it. Faces appear on the screen. People you chose. People you trusted. And in under a minute, they tell you it's over. You're fired. Effective immediately. The reason they give is vague. You weren't consistently candid. You run the most important company in the world, the one that just put artificial intelligence into the hands of 100 million people. And you've just been removed from it by your own board over a video call on a Friday afternoon. For most people, this is where the story ends. Your name is Sam Altman. And in exactly 5 days, you're going to do something almost no fired CEO in history has ever done. You're going to walk back in, and the people who fired you will be the ones who are gone. But to understand how you survive this, how you turn the worst moment of your career into the moment that makes you untouchable, you have to go back to the beginning, because it came down to 4 lessons, 4 decisions that built you. And every one of them is a lesson any entrepreneur can use. Here's the first. You're 8 years old when you get your first computer. While other kids are outside, you're taking it apart, teaching yourself to code, learning that a few lines of text can make a machine do anything you want. It feels like a superpower. It feels like the future. By 19, you're at Stanford, studying computer science, exactly where a kid like you is supposed to be. And after 1 year, you walk away. You have an idea, an app that lets people share their location with friends. You call it Looped. You don't wait to graduate or for a perfect plan or a safety net. You join a brand new, unproven program run by a man named Paul Graham, a tiny experiment called Y Combinator in its very first batch. You're one of the first founders to ever bet on it. You're 20 years old with a half-built app and no idea what you're doing. You start anyway. And that's the first lesson, the one almost nobody acts on. The people who build something always begin before they feel ready, because ready never actually arrives. Here's the part the highlight reels skip. Looped doesn't work. You raise millions. You grind for years. It never really takes off. Eventually you sell it for a modest sum, barely enough to return your investors' money. By the only metric that's supposed to matter, your first company is a failure. But something else happened in those years, something worth more than any payday. You showed up. You earned a reputation as someone sharp, relentless, impossible to ignore. And Paul Graham, watching you, didn't see a failed founder. He saw the future of his entire firm. So in 2014, he hands you the keys. At 28, you become president of Y Combinator, the most powerful startup accelerator on Earth. And you don't just run it. You supercharge it. The companies that pass through your doors become the backbone of the modern internet. Airbnb, Stripe, Dropbox, Reddit. You become the quiet kingmaker of Silicon Valley. The lesson: your company can fail and you can still win, because the real asset was never the app. It was the reputation and the relationships, and those compound long after any single venture dies. By now, you could coast. You're powerful, respected, set for life. Instead, in 2015, you bet on the single most unfashionable idea in technology, that machines will one day think. Not narrow software, real, general intelligence. Most serious people call it science fiction. You and a small group, including Elon Musk, start a lab to build it anyway. You call it OpenAI, and you make it a nonprofit. No product, no profit, no clear way to make money, just a mission. Then you do something almost unheard of for a founder. You take essentially no equity. Your power won't come from owning the company. It'll come from the mission and the trust of the people who build it with you. For years, it's slow and strange. You build a system called GPT-2 that writes so well you're afraid to release the full version. Then GPT-3, a machine that writes like a person. To keep the lights on, you restructure and partner with Microsoft for $1 billion. Critics say you sold out. You keep building. The lesson is the one the greatest founders all share. Bet on the future before it exists, and endure looking naive while you wait. And real leverage isn't ownership, it's mission and trust. Hold on to that. It's about to save your life. November 2022. You have a chatbot built on your latest model. It isn't finished. It isn't polished. Your team isn't even sure anyone will care. You put it out anyway, quietly, as a low-key research preview. You call it ChatGPT. In 5 days, 1 million people use it. In 2 months, 100 million, the fastest any product in human history has ever been adopted. Overnight, the thing you bet a decade on becomes the most talked about technology on the planet. At Google, executives declare an internal code red. The race for artificial intelligence has begun, and you fired the starting gun. The lesson: ship before it's perfect. The version that changed the world wasn't the perfect one. It was the one you actually released. Done and out beats flawless and hidden every single time. You're now the most important person in the most important industry on Earth, which is exactly when it all comes apart. Back to that Friday. The board fires you, citing trust. They name an interim CEO. By every rule of how companies work, you're finished, locked out of the thing you built. But this is where every bet you ever made comes due. Because you never built your power on a title or a controlling share. You built it on the mission and on the people. And when those people wake up to the news, they don't celebrate. They revolt. It starts as a trickle, then a flood. Your employees post the same words over and over. OpenAI is nothing without its people. Then a letter goes around. By the end, nearly 700 of your 770 employees have signed it, threatening to quit and follow you wherever you go next. Even the chief scientist who helped push you out signs it and says publicly that he regrets what he did. Then Microsoft makes its move. Come work here, all of you, today. Suddenly, the board hasn't fired a CEO. They've threatened to lose the entire company overnight. Their power evaporates in real time. 5 days after they removed you, you walk back through the doors. You're CEO again. And the board members who fired you? They're the ones who are gone. The biggest lesson of all. The loyalty you build is the only power that can't be taken from you. They could strip your title in 60 seconds. They could not strip away the 1,000 people who chose you, because the company was never the board or the building or the logo. It was the people, and the people were yours. You come back stronger than you've ever been. You rebuild the board on your terms. You push the company toward a scale almost no one thought possible. A valuation racing toward the trillions. Your tools woven into the daily lives of hundreds of millions. And when Elon Musk takes you to court to stop it, you win. The college dropout whose first company nobody even remembers now sits at the very center of the most important technology in human history. They thought firing you was the end of your story. It was the moment that proved you couldn't be removed because you never built your power on a title. You built it on trust. And trust doesn't answer to a board. 4 lessons, 1 empire, and the quiet truth underneath all of it. The things that looked like setbacks, the failed app, the crazy bet, the Friday you got fired, were the exact things that made you impossible to stop.